Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, depending where you're tuning in from. Having a little technical difficulties this morning, so going to just set the vibe, and light a little Palo Santo, set a little grounding moment. We have quite a bit to get through today that may feel, there's quite a few things we've had, and if you're tuning in from the US, we've had quite a few since the inauguration. What feels like kind of like chaotic, a lot of chaos. So, wanted to kind of use this stream and today to discuss a big planetary movement that happened on the day of the inauguration, and how that may have impacted us this week and how it will actually impact us probably for the next 20 years, being that Pluto's in Aquarius. And yeah, so a lot to uncover there. We'll also do a spread around, what can we look forward to, or what can we expect collectively? And yeah, also I will start by doing the usual tuning forks. Just going to have a sip of water. All right. Let's get started, set some grounding, and then we'll talk about this Pluto Sun Cazimi. It's always so lovely to set some grounding before getting started. And hello, welcome to the stream. As I mentioned before I got started, there were quite a few, let's just say there's always a lot of things happening with planetary movements, but we had something pretty major that happened on Tuesday. If you're in the US, like I am, we had the big inauguration with our new president. But in addition to this, we also had something called a Pluto Sun Cazimi. And what this really is when, two planets kind of align with each other. This is a very special one, given that Pluto is let's just say it's a collective planet. It's something that doesn't necessarily move that often. So when it moved into Aquarius last November, that was a big deal because now it's going to be set in Aquarius for the next 20 years. That also, means Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. And if you're familiar with Scorpio, is although super emotional and loving, is a very dark, could be dark energy. And what Pluto likes to really reveal is a lot of dark, let's just say secrets, things that have been hidden. And us being in Aquarius, you know, you think of Aquarius, and Aquarius is related to technology, advancement, intelligence. So when this happened in November, I've just been thinking about this so much because when it was in Capricorn previously, Capricorn is all about structure, and a lot was revealed to us during that, let's just say 20, I think it was a little less than 20 years, maybe 14 years or so, where things in terms of our structure were being broken down. So if you really think about what happened previously in the last even few years, it hit kind of a big peak moment, especially around how we are being governed. So anyway, now that's in an Aquarius, very, very interesting time, thinking about intelligence and technological advancement. So why does this matter? Well, this Cazimi happening, that's basically Pluto being in Aquarius, and the sun moved to Aquarius on Tuesday, I believe. Or just shortly before that, I think the 19th, I'm like, or the 20th. That being said, both of those planets being in Aquarius, so, you know, basically, in short, Pluto is going to slowly unravel these dark things, hidden secrets, let's just say, about our technology, our advancements. But that also happening when the sun Cazimi happens, certain parts of that dark energy is being actually highlighted. So if you're following these events that have been happening on Tuesday and onward with the president, certain bills being signed, certain things being said, it's very chaotic. It's creating a lot of, let's just say, not just dark energy, but also kind of really hardships. Like we're seeing some things really coming to light, and things that, what can we expect for this 4-year presidency now? It's but something I want to kind of think about, you know, as in general when we navigate such dark energy and hard times, is that there's a lot that get projected on the media, and sometimes those things are really what creates the chaos. Of course, these things are maybe being put in motion or being said to be put in motion, but really, if we can come back together and really think about, you know, ourselves as a community, how can we kind of come together in this hard time? Maybe that will really be the light through all of this. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of do a poll on this and kind of just talk through what can we expect collectively, what can we do together, because again, Pluto is a collective planet. We all feel this energy together, and it is, you know, to navigate some type of darkness, I think we can do together with some light. So, I didn't have so much planned today. It's kind of a crazy week for me. I usually stream on Tuesdays in the afternoon, but I think coming out of the long weekend, I had off Monday, and just preparing for a big trip next week. There was a lot going on with work, so anyway, I wanted to, wow, this is kind of too zoomed in. Just give me a second here while I try to fix my setup. Um, I apologize. This camera is sometimes a little challenging to work with. Okay, so let's talk about what, in regards to this Pluto Sun Cazimi, this recent inauguration. How can we think about, what can we expect collectively, and what can we do together collectively? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna pull a few cards here, and kind of talk through. Wow. Okay. This is very interesting. Okay. So the first card is the Six of Cups. And in this image, you do see a woman, or let's just say a person with a hood, passing on a cup to what looks like an elderly woman, or elder. So cups, right? Cups represent relationships. It represents emotions. In this, you can see it really represents generosity. It is sharing with others, and it is a very positive card. You see this in the sense of giving and being generous. So I think, going back to this recent inauguration and really hardship time, I think it's a sign of us coming together, and sharing some beauty in the world, whether that is art, whether that is some type of knowledge. But it is a very positive card, in relationships and community. So I really see that coming together, for us, even despite all the crazy shit that's happening, and things that we're seeing. Also, now we see the Two of Pentacles. What's interesting about this card, Pentacles, is like foundation, and you see this, let's just say, I don't want to say circus person, but kind of. It's like a juggler, someone trying to juggle multiple things. I think this also talks about juggling, what, again, we're seeing in the media versus what, what is actually impacting us individually. So there's a lot to juggle. It's like external forces, internal forces. What are the foundations that keep us going? And I think this is really a sign to kind of, again, lean into the community aspect. Even though we're being told certain things, and things that may impact our foundation, impact our finances, impact things that we truly care about. But finding and keeping strong to that community aspect to, really hold on and use that as our beacon of light, because there is actually so much more with the community that we can do, rather than, harping on these things that we see in the media. And then lastly, this is the Ten of Pentacles. And again, Pentacles is foundation, and this is, again, a community card. So there's a lot of strong things and strong themes coming out of this, recent astrological event, but also happening at the same time as the inauguration. And I see this as a really big time to tap into our community and tap into the things that make us happy, and sharing that with the world. So, again, like I mentioned, whether that's art, whether that's knowledge, whether it's just giving somebody a compliment, your local barista that you see every morning or whatever that is, because there's a lot to juggle every day. We're going to be bombarded by things depending what type of information you consume. And it can be really hard, but ultimately we're going to come through this stronger. And I think this, even though, times like these kind of feel like it's very divisive, I think it's really fine. It's actually, finding and moving past that divisiveness and coming to it from a more open perspective, but also, again, just really leaning into that community. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I really need community. I live in New York, and that is, although it's, again, super chaotic here, the biggest reason why I still love being here, is the community. Without it, it's really challenging for me. I find that, it is really what brings us together, universally and collectively. So I hope this helps, if you've been feeling a little down this week, and especially with things going on with the inauguration and what's to come. But hopefully this can be a sign that there's so much more to really focus on than what's coming in. So, all right. So I have another topic I want to talk about today. I would have done this next week, but I will be on a work trip. So let's talk about it this week, and maybe you can use this to kind of set an intention. So we are end of January now. We just had the new year start, 2025 new year, which is really what is followed by the Gregorian calendar. But we have another new year, an Eastern New Year, Lunar New Year's next week. It is, initially celebrated by, it was initially called Chinese New Year. However, other cultures, Asian cultures also celebrate, including Vietnam. And so for me, being Vietnamese, Lunar New Year's has always been something to look forward to. Seeing family. Their traditions are also really beautiful in the sense we, wear these traditional outfits and give gifts wrapped in red, and red usually, is a good luck color. It also represents like power and prosperity. So, it's a really lovely time to just wish, to give wishes to elders, to family members, to friends. And oh, nice. That's really awesome to hear. Yeah, I usually always wear an ao dai for Lunar New Year's, but I'll be on a work trip next week, unfortunately. But it will be in San Jose, which is, a really big Vietnamese community area. So that I'm super, super excited for. I'm not bringing my ao dai, I think. But I do love the tradition. It's super, super fun. And it's a really nice one to have. But yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the year of the snake. And, just do a quick spread and talk through, maybe some things to think about. I know we just did a recent spread, on the Gregorian calendar year, but I think there's some synchronicities and maybe some commonalities, especially being that the Hermit is the card of the year. So if I'll start off by, I won't go through the entire story in the Chinese mythology, but if you're not familiar with the, let's just say, wheel, the Chinese zodiac wheel, basically the story behind it was that there was a jade emperor who held, let's just call it, the great race, and all these different animals that you hear about in terms of the Chinese zodiac all were in the race. And in terms of timing, of placement, it's all based on where the animal landed in the race. So interesting, we're coming into the year of the snake, and if you think of a snake, you think of a race. Snakes generally, snakes could be fast, but in comparison to, let's just say, a dragon, a horse, or other animals, maybe not necessarily as fast. However, the snake was really smart, and the snake decided to coil itself up onto the horse's hoof. Being so, somehow it managed to finish before the horse. So 2026, we'll look forward to the horse. But now that we're coming out of the year of the dragon, and if you think of dragons are very bold, very outgoing. And in terms of tarot, last year's card was Strength, which is very, a Leo, ruled by Leo. And that Leos, if you're familiar with Leos, they're very bold, very outgoing, and very strong. They kind of give 0 F's about what people think about them. They hold very true to themselves and have just a super outgoing personality. And when it comes to the year of the snake, this is kind of the opposite. Snakes are introspective. It's about rebirth. It's about going inward. I also, last year, I don't know if you can see it, you can kind of see it, but I actually got a tattoo, that was a snake. It had a lot to do with, shedding, letting go, rebirth, deconditioning, deprogramming. So I really find that this is an exciting year, especially as it relates to the card of the year, the Hermit. I'll pull this up from last week? Whenever, maybe 2 weeks ago, whenever I did the New Year spread, maybe that was last week. This was my spread to the right. However, you can see the card of the Hermit to the left. What I find to be really interesting here is that, you think of this year of the snake as, okay, it's a time of going inward, and so is the card, our collective card for the year, the Hermit. So there's a lot of crossover in terms of numerologically. I love when numerology, astrology, all of it is connected. So it's pretty cool that you can see it here, where the Hermit means going inward, preparing for something greater, taking time to really have some introspective moments. And then also the year of the snake is happening. And so that's a really, really cool connection there. I also was born on the year of the horse, Diffusion. Very cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing what next year, especially given that this year is a year to go inward, and maybe next year, I won't go too much into it, but I think it's preparing us for the year of the horse. And hello, Dead Chrome, it's nice to see you again. It's been a while. Happy New Year. So yeah, a lot of crossover between these different, let's just say, modalities. And I'm very excited. I love taking time to rest, go inward. Also, in addition to that, I think it's, snakes shed, so it's a lot of shedding. So during this year and this time, while you're focusing on this, I hope that you're taking care of yourself, allowing yourself to have extra time for this shedding process. The shedding process also, while it coming out of it feels amazing, there's also moments of grief. And it's something that I've learned as I have gone through my path and the process, and it's been super, it's always challenging, but yeah, just try to be gentle with yourself during this time, but excited for what's to come. So let's do a quick pull here. We can talk through. I kind of wanted just to do a general, what can we expect from from the snake energy. And let's see. All right, so, yeah, what can we expect or call in given the year of the snake and the snake energy? Oops. Oh, very interesting. I will pull a few cards here and let's talk about it. So, strength. Yes. Okay. Strength actually was the card for last year, 2024, but interestingly enough has come up in this spread. I mean, overall, when you think of strength, I mentioned Leo energy. You see this woman or person, I guess, kind of holding and taming the mouth of a lion. Strength kind of really just speaks for itself. But I love to see, dive into a little symbology here, but you can see the infinity halo above her. Which, seeing this means infinite possibilities. You see this on the Magician as well, and other cards. But ultimately, strength, again, speaks for itself. It's just having strength, the courage. And I think that is something is to be said about going inward, about shedding, about really diving into your shadow side, doing inner work. It does require a lot of strength. It is something that I would like to say only the brave really will work on their, inner selves, because it's hard. It's, if you have gone to therapy, have indulged in plant medicine, have done anything in terms of trying to tap into your inner self, you probably are pretty aware of how challenging it is. So it takes a lot of courage to do this. And it is something that, in terms of having, calling in this type of energy, is really, we need it. We need the strength to really do this type of work. So, yes, plant medicine is really incredible. I won't share too much of my personal experience, but let's just say I've done quite a bit of work there, and it's really, really hard, but it is the the outcome is something that I could not even begin to believe how much benefit it's had on my life, how I see the world, the perspective. It's a lot of purging, it's a lot of going inward, and it's very hard. But I have to say, if everyone in the world, and if they were able to, like, capably able to do plant medicine work, the world would be a better place. So then we have the Two of Wands reversed. So the Two of Wands is really, I mean, Wands is fire. Wands is inspiration. Wands could also be related to work, career. And as it comes in terms of reversed, first let's just talk about what it is in upright. Upright, this person is looking at the world. Looks pretty exciting, like planning, thinking. And I think obviously as a reverse, it always tells us to go kind of inward, maybe planning and thinking creatively for ourselves. Again, snake telling us to kind of go inward, and using, I guess, this excitement for creativity or what's to come as a time to reflect. And then lastly, you have the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands reversed. You could see reverse cards as like a mental block, or you could just see it as like the inverse of something. Some people don't even really read it as reverse. I typically like to. But 10 is a completion of something. You can see this person is holding a bundle of wands, and it's a completion of the wand cycle. So that is the creative process. And I think that really means, again, coming, like, let's just say completing the creative process of, I keep using going inward, but there's a lot of introspective things to say about the spread, about the snake, about shedding. And I think it really shows us that again, we need strength to do all this type of work. And we need to really reflect and think about what that could be. Maybe we do have some type of idea already of what that is, or maybe we need to spend a little more time thinking about it. But coming out of it, there will be a lot of success. And even though it will be really hard, of course, this person is holding a large bundle of wands. There's also, I want to call this out, a lot of sprouting on these wands. So I think the outcome will be super positive as long as we are willing to actually do it. And so where does this leave us? Really just taking the energy of the snake, taking the energy of the hermit, the collective card of the year, really honing in and taking time to rest and work on ourselves. I think that goes, with kind of the spread that I did earlier in terms of, sharing community, because in order to do so, you have to do that work for yourself before you can, not everyone says, but there's a saying that you can't really share your cup if it isn't full. So I think in order to fill our cup, it's really to go inward. Yes, diffusion. In terms of recommendations for plant medicine, I would say if you haven't dabbled in psychedelics before, or maybe just a little bit, I would definitely start with psilocybin as an initial start. There's amazing ceremony circles that serve psilocybin at a high dose. And honestly, if you've gone on your own journey doing mushrooms, you've probably have reached some greater introspective moments. And if you are interested in taking this further, and if you find a great ceremony circle that's trusted, I would highly recommend ayahuasca. They say that mushroom is the okay, that just happened. Let me sorry about that. I accidentally kicked my camera down. Let's say if let me backtrack. Ayahuasca, I would highly recommend. That is something that I did last year. I didn't do any mushroom ceremony circles before this, but I've had my share of psychedelic experiences, and I felt really called to the medicine. They say that ayahuasca is, we call her grandmother, and we call mushrooms the grandchildren. So, yeah, they're, some people say you start with mushroom, and you don't have to start anywhere, but I would have to say that ayahuasca is a pretty intense, let's just say, pretty intense experience. But I think if you feel called to do the work, it's amazing. And it really is shadow work. It's really, really hard, but there's also some beautiful, beautiful moments. Ayahuasca is, very maternal, very motherly. And, and they say grandfather is peyote, which I haven't done yet. I haven't felt super called to go on that route yet. I think I want to spend a little more time with grandmother. So I can imagine it's not easy to find here in the States either. It's not legal as well, but I'm very lucky in the sense, like, I've found a group of people who is very trusted, and through a mutual friend, and that's kind of how I found them. I do know, the group that I work with, work directly with the Shipibo tribe, and that's in Peru. I know that there's also a really big facility in Costa Rica, but all I have to say is be very careful of where you decide to sit. I've also heard some horror stories of a friend going abroad to a circle they weren't familiar with, and I think it didn't end up so well. So yeah, do your research. Going abroad may be the move given your location. But if you have any friends that may dabble in the space, they could be a good recommendation. That's pretty much how I found the space that I was looking for. Obviously, it's not something you can find online. So, but in other countries like Peru or Costa Rica, you can definitely find it there. I think Bali also, I've heard, is a pretty big container for doing this type of work. Okay, I hope that was helpful, Diffusion. If you feel super, super called, I hope, you're able to find a safe place, a safe and trusted place to do the work, because you definitely want, it's something that you don't want to just do with anybody, and definitely not alone. So, although, some people have mentioned to me it's something that you can, but I cannot imagine, because the purpose really is to be working with the shamans or facilitators to help channel, you know, the other plants within the Amazon to help heal your experience, because it's very catered to you. It's not like just taking the plant itself will just do all these things for you. It's a whole experience that needs to be contained. And yes, I have a feeling that since you're setting this intention here, maybe it is something that will come soon. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I won't be here next week. I'll be on my work trip, but I'll be back the following week. And, you know, I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely Lunar New Year's. And I will see you guys again in, let's say, a week and a half. All right. Ciao. Have a good day.